5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Lift off. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of council, members of management. We have our town clerk here, Jennifer Brake, and also our economic development manager, Mr. Mike Ratter. I see we have 10 attendees. Hopefully we'll have more. I'd like to welcome all people present and joining us electronically to our June 15, 2020 meeting. I would ask a member of council to move that we adopt the agenda as circulated. Moved by Councilor Tracy Boland, second. Second, Councilor Kristen Newland, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Just want to say that due to a commitment at school, Councilor Lenny Miller was unable to make it tonight. So I hope the graduation and the event is going very well. Item number 2 is the approval of minutes. Recommend to approve our public meeting with council minutes that took place on June 1st, 2 weeks ago, 2023. I would ask a member of council to move that those minutes be adopted.
I so moved.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Are there any matters arising from those minutes? Nope, pretty clear. Okay, any proclamations or delegations, Jennifer? Nothing, okay. Committee reports, so I'll turn it over. I'll have a little sip of my coffee here. I'll turn it over to our Chair of Finance, Myra White. Take it away, 5.1.
Thank you. The Finance Committee met on June 12th, 2023, and the following items were recommended for council approval. Item number 1, the accounts payable listing for May 2023. Requesting approval to pay accounts payable listing in the amount of $194,946.97. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
I'll second it.
Second by Councilor Laura Aylward, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item number 2, a community grant program. Requesting approval to give a community grant to Bay St. George Powerlifting Club in the amount of $700 to purchase equipment. I so move.
By Councilor Myra White, second by Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item number 3, Western Health Retention Program. Requesting approval to give a grant to the Royal Canadian Legion for Western Health Recruitment and Retention Program. $104,000 for retention benefits, $9,600 for recruitment benefits, and $15,600 for administrative fees for the total amount of $129,200. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
I'll second that.
Second, Councilor Tracy Boland, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item number 4, cancel Western Health Recruitment Program. Requesting approval to cancel Western Health Recruitment Program effective June 16th, 2023, and all previous signed recruitment agreements will be honored. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder. I'd like to
Yeah,
just speak on it. If you don't mind taking the chair over for me, Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. So I think it's over the last 3 years, through great leadership of this town council, that we have demonstrated our commitment to healthcare and to our citizens. It's really not in the fray of what we traditionally do as a municipality. We tend to provide drinking water, clear streets, pick up garbage, do recreation, and so forth. But we stepped forward when a lot of communities were really struggling. There was a healthcare crisis, not just in Stephenville, Newfoundland, but in the province, in the country, and actually in the world. The demand for acute care is increasing. The demand for mental health services is increasing so fast in our marketplace now, or in our communities. But it's time now. We've spent, I would say, well over $500,000 And that's $500,000 that we could have spent in more recreation or paving roads, but at the end of the day, I felt that the pulse of the community was the number one issue in this town, just like every other town in this province, was, do you have a family doctor? And if we were to add up our family doctors, our specialists, our internists, our anesthetists, our surgeons, the whole suite from our clinics to our Sir Thomas Roddick 24-hour emergency hospital, we have close to 20 doctors in Stephenville. We still need more, but I think what has also happened in concert with the town of Stephenville is that the province has really stepped up with recruitment efforts.
Yeah.
They've increased it significantly. They've actually shouldered the responsibility. And the other great news is on two fronts for us in Stephenville is that there's now a new provincial healthcare authority that has now taken the reins to kind of measure, demonstrate, manage healthcare in our province. And this is a time also that Stephenville is into a growth sector with the world energy, the hydrogen, the wind, the airport transfer to the Diamond Group of companies, that Stephenville is becoming more of a vibrant community. It's often said by economics that either your community is dying or you're growing. There's nothing in between. And if you look at the numbers in Stephenville, after the mill closed, we actually lost population. So we weren't growing, we were dying. But those days are over. We're about to grow significantly. So I think the timing to cancel this is very, the timing is right. And it is a good move, Madam Chair,
Yes.
to have this motion on the floor. Okay, so I'll take back the chair.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. So,
Favor.
any other questions?
Oh,
All in favor?
aye.
Motion carried.
Item number 5, the event grant Art Fest Stephenville. Requesting approval to give a grant to the Art Fest Stephenville Committee in the amount of $2,400 to host a community event from June the 22nd to June the 25th. This event will further expand the theme for arts and culture in our community. On June 23rd, Arts NL is hosting the 38th Annual Art Awards Show in Stephenville, and PBS production event is taking place on June the 24th. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Mara White, second.
Second.
Second, Councillor Laurie. I'd like to speak on that if I could, Deputy Mayor.
Yes.
I'll turn over the gavel to you in case you
Yep.
need to knock it down.
Over to Rain.
Something there. Yeah, so basically, just like to speak on that. Through the work of our economic office and our recreation and wellness department, President Mike, we basically, and with Susan on the committee, we brought in all of our arts and culture groups. And we've been meeting with them for about a month or so now, I would say, Susan?
Probably 2 months.
2 months. So there's so much going on, and it's going to take a couple of minutes, I guess, to talk about this, but this came about from our partnering with Lake City, South Carolina, and from a production company out of St. John's that actually had contacts within the public broadcasting service of the United States of America. So this is something the council has approved. We had delegations attend Lake City, South Carolina. And the latest one was April 22nd, where I was down for the film shoot. So starting this week, we have production from locally within the province, but also from the public broadcasting service out of the US, arriving in the Stephenville to do a production shoot on Saturday, the 24th of June at the airport. The airport was selected by the company because of its US connection. Stephenville was selected because of the US connection. We were a former US Air Force base. South Carolina is one of the states in the US that has a very significant military presence. They have 8 military bases in South Carolina alone. So we were also a 9/11 airport. We were also a landing site for the space shuttle. So we had so many components that was fitting for Stephenville to be selected. But in Lake City, they have a major philanthropist, the Darling Moore Foundation, that have put a lot. She is actually from South Carolina, Lake City. She had done very well on Wall Street, became very successful financially, put a lot of money, and that city actually this year did an 11-day event promoting the arts. And the arts, from their perspective, is a big economic boost for their city. People from all over the US go to Lake City. So our committee with the Veteran Folk Festival, the Stephenville Theater Festival, all of our groups in our community, we decided, why don't we brand an event that's going to take place in Stephenville also? So because we have the PBS production happening here, which is Saturday and Sunday, RGM decided that they would have their annual general meeting and awards banquet in Stephenville. It's being held at the Arts and Culture Center. Anybody who haven't got tickets yet, I'd highly recommend it. The lineup is phenomenal. A lot of local artists, a lot of provincial artists, but awards will be given out provincially. So what we decided between the festival and the Veteran Folk Festival and the Bay St. George Artists Association, that we would capitalize and theme an event over the 4 days. And we came up with the name Art Fest Stephenville. Well, we used to have a music fest.
Yeah.
Just focused on music.
Yeah.
This is culinary. This is artists. It's musicians. It's culture. It's everything. So events will take place, and thanks to our Economic and Recreational Wellness Department, we have posters promoting the event. It starts Thursday night. Thursday night's the first event. At the day's end, there's going to be a comedian and a local songwriter, Mr. Chris Mercer. Friday night, there's going to be the big Arts and L Awards at the Arts and Culture Center, and I think there's about half the seats booked already. It's a really good sign. Later on that night, after the awards, the Redwood is booked to host one of our cultural groups, Smugglers Cove. Saturday afternoon, we have a full lineup at the town square. Saturday evening, it's the film production. I think the scale of this film production and everything is about $1 million. Put this off. And then Sunday, there's a private event. It's called Artist 3, where an author, a musician, and an artist are paired. And it's going to be a really interesting event. So I have to say that we're blessed. We mentioned the 38th anniversary of Arts and L, but this year we're going to be celebrating on June 15th, I believe, the opening of the Stephenville Theater Festival, which is the 45th anniversary. We're rich with Indigenous French music, arts, and I think this is an opportunity that we can drive some economics into our town. And every year we could do a weekend event or a 3-day event or a 4-day event. So a lot of good work by town staff. And on that note, I'll take back the gavel, I guess.
What's the $2,400 for? Like, what would that go towards?
Pardon?
What's the $2,400 for? Is that?
Okay, that's primarily.
Yeah, those, for the different events, there are, people being paid, and so we hope most of them are going to recoup the costs, like Smuggler's Cove, for example. There's going to be a $10 cover charge on the door for that. However, for the activities in Kin Square, that's 3 or 4 groups. So we have to pay for, first of all, sound systems, and then there'll be some pay to the performers. And there's no real way to recoup money there. I mean, we might put a jar there in case people want to donate, but you can't really charge people to get in, right? So that's primarily where the expense is.
And I guess the town square is really designed part of our uplands, planning and development that happened years ago, was to drive business on Main Street. And it has been very successful, but it's becoming overly successful. It's really, a lot of community comes, anytime there's something at the town square, it is blocked.
Yeah,
It's a free event, so here's a chance too for us to showcase, remember, there's gonna be cameras all over town. All this week going into the weekend. And there's gonna be filming down at the town square. And here's a chance that we get to support our local artists, to showcase our local artists to these big events that are happening. And remember, local artists for 2 years during COVID had a really, really rough time
they did, yeah,
because they didn't have unplugged, most of them.
true. That's-
And they really struggled and hurt. So this is to me, is a really good thing.
Okay.
So on that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Answer mine? No, all in favor? Okay, motion carried.
That's all on our agenda.
That's it? Nothing late?
Nothing late.
Okay, so thank you very much, Councilor Myra White. We'll turn it over to our Chair of Planning, Councilor Laura Aylward. 5.2 for Planning and Traffic Committee reports.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Planning and Traffic Committee met on June 12th, 2023, and the following items were recommended for council approval. Number A is 40 Oregon Drive, Municipal Grants Division, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. They're requesting approval to issue a permit to excavate and repair drainage line in front of the property located at 40 Oregon Drive. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Laura Aylward, second Councilor Tracy Boland, all in favor?
Aye.
And carried.
Item B, 19 Oregon Drive, Acadian Hotel Incorporated, requesting approval to issue a permit to replace the existing front entrance with 2 steps and wheelchair ramp with railings and pave an extension on the existing drive-through to accommodate accessible drop-off on the property located at 19 Oregon Drive. I so moved.
Moved by Councilor Laura Aylward, seconder.
I'll second.
Second, Councilor Tricia Newton. Just want to like say, it's so nice to see
It is.
accessibility being improved in
Definitely.
commercial businesses around our town. There's not everybody that's in compliant. And
No, that needed to
it's
be done.
very challenging. So
Yeah.
when I see permit requests coming in like this, it's just nice to see.
Yeah, good on them for that.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
241 Carolina Avenue, Coleman's Furniture World Limited, requesting approval to issue a permit to utilize a portion of space to accommodate warehouse storage in the building located at 241 Carolina Avenue. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Laura Aylward, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councilor Myra White, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item D, 2 St. Clair Avenue, requesting approval to issue permit to consolidate an adjacent parcel of land with 42 St. Clair Avenue as per deed submitted. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Laura Aylward, seconder.
Second.
Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Fowler. Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Item E, 103, 105 Main Street, DTW Holdings, requesting approval to issue permit to consolidate 2 parcels of land, 103, 105 Main Street, and 1 Churchill Street, into 1 parcel of land to be named 103, 105 Main Street. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Laura Aylward, seconder. Second, Councilor Myra White. Favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
And last item, 9 St. Clair Avenue, search and rescue event, requesting permission to close access into St. Clair from Gallant Street and detour traffic to Hillview Avenue to accommodate equipment in front of the building to host an open house event on June 25th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. I so move.
By Councilor Laura Aylward, second by Councilor Tracy Boland, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
That's all there is. I don't think there's any late items that I know of anyway.
So we have 2 late motions to the table, one that have been provided to the town clerk by Deputy Mayor Susan Fowler. So we'll allow Susan to put her motion forward.
Okay. well, there's, I guess it's two motions because there's two different,
Okay.
municipal code of conducts, one for councillors and one for officials, right? So, as council is aware, we did have a number of code of conduct complaints that came in at the very early stages of the, after we adopted the code of conduct, and there are certain timelines attached to that. We had to involve a lawyer and a mediator, and the lawyer contacted me this past week and asked, as per our code of conduct, asked that council consider giving an extension on the timeline because it took a while to get the mediator up to snuff in terms of what was happening and so on. So that's kind of the background from which these motions come. So first motion is a recommendation to approve an additional 40 business days to complete the investigation for the municipal code of conduct complaints for officials as outlined in Article 4.5.1. And should I move that one first? Or
Yeah.
yeah, I so move.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councillor Myra White, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
And the second one is to a recommendation to approve additional 40 business days to complete the investigation for municipal code of conduct complaints for councillors as outlined in Article 17. I so move.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow, seconder. Second, Councillor Tracy Boland, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, so
Thank you.
I have a motion too that was presented to the town clerk, put forward. I guess you would share if I'm to the motion. Yeah. So I would like to put forward a motion for the town of Stephenville to support the Stephenville Airport Corporation's sale of its airport to the Diamond Group / Greater NL Partnership. I so move.
Moved by Mayor Rose, seconder.
Second.
Second by Councillor Elbert.
Okay, question.
Question?
Yeah, so basically, this council, probably 4 councils before this council, have supported the Stephenville Airport Corporation. I think it started really in the early days of 1989 when Air Canada announced pulling out of Stephenville. It's a few years ago. And we have put in significant money to help with the operations to keep the airport open technically. And the airport corporation boards have done their role over the last 30 years, but really haven't had the success of getting the airport into a profit-making position. And every year since I've been on council, Laura, and you've been here the longest, every year we've had to put taxpayers' money into the town of Stephenville. And the last few years, it's been averaging 4 or 5, sometimes 500,000. Once again, that's 400,000 we could pave roads or put better recreation and so forth. So the Diamond Group and NL Partnership have met the terms and transferred the millions of dollars that's required to purchase the airport. And I felt that it was appropriate for us as a council to support the airport corporation's sale of that airport because it'll take the financial burden off of the taxpayers of this town. But actually it will actually accrue financial benefits, as now we have actually over the years written off millions of dollars of taxes because the airport couldn't pay taxes. Now we're in a position we don't have to spend money to keep the lights on technically. And we can start invoicing for taxation. So it's in a really good position for us. I hope Diamond and his investors all the best of their business plans and their plans to move the airport forward. With World Energy, I don't think the airport's ever been in a better financial position for growth and sustainability. So I wish all parties well. So I just wanted to speak on one, we have a second, so.
Anyone else question or?
No, I think it's a good thing. And I was pleased to see all the big planes in here, even WestJet, would you believe?
Yeah.
That was totally surprising.
Yeah.
Hell,
Yeah.
Well, I know,
Yeah,
it's,
that's fair too.
whatever the reason, doesn't matter. When I saw WestJet on the map, I thought, well, what kind of a miracle is this?
the land.
Way, oh my God, because they've been so reluctant to land here at times, and they certainly could have, lots of times. But that is good news, and I for one, at this table, never ever wanted to see that airport close. Because once you close something, you can forget it. Same as the gym.
Yep.
Fought for that too. But the airport to me was a very important piece of infrastructure for not only Stephenville, but for the whole province.
Yeah.
And please God that we will and get domestic flights in here again sooner than later.
Well, it was important to the world during 9/11.
Well, it was. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, no more discussion, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contraminded? Okay. Motion carried.
Thank you very much. You didn't have to hit that very hard.
Get my own.
What? We need one with maybe different color.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay, so no bylaws or regulations today. Is there any unfinished business? No? Any new business from anybody?
I think I'll talk about this. We've heard Councillor Boland talk about the mess that's next to their houses down on Ross Avenue, is it?
Yes.
So I went and took a look at that, and I gotta tell you, it's time for someone to find out who owns that piece of land. And if you don't abide by what we ask them to do, to clear it up and level it, we're gonna have to do something and take it to safety or environment or somebody, because it's not safe. Children down there, and it's an eyesore, and it's been there for years. Years.
Yeah.
A year, is it?
Yeah. And
Been there a year.
part of the reason the developer or the owner started something and it got stalled. But I have to agree totally that it's a danger. Some of them rocks, the weight of a shovel of the ground.
Oh,
People don't realize the impact that ground can have, especially on a young child or something, but those big rocks that were there, it is a dangerous, and I think we had brought it up too at our last planning meeting. We asked management to determine who owns it, to start to communicate, and if it means that we gotta go the legal route, use our legal counsel to address this safety issue, that's where we need to go. So we need to move on that file.
that's right.
It's been a year, yeah, so
Yeah.
something should be done with
Yeah.
it. Something built or it backfilled.
And I think too, that's sometimes always the challenge with our municipality over the years is that when it comes to private land, it's a little complex sometimes to get action and move action quickly. Something that's on our land, no problem. We can call Director of Public Works right now, and if it were an emergency, our Director of Public Works would mobilize probably in 60 seconds. But when it comes for us moving in on private property, it becomes very complex. And that's why we always have to rely on our legal team to give us advice. How do we move? How do we do a court order? We struggle with certain files, but we gotta stay on.
And do we even have a right, I guess?
Yeah.
That's the other piece. Do we have a right?
Yeah.
I think the only angle would be a safety angle.
Safety issue, yes.
I'm just.
Well, there's several reasons. I mean,
Yeah.
the aesthetics of it, and there's also the safety of it, which is most important.
That's the,
Yes,
that's
but I'm
the,
just saying that with the aesthetics and stuff, if we need to point to policy that suggests that, because that's not the only place with
No,
aesthetic issues.
No, there's others, yeah.
So we need to, we just need to tread very carefully and make sure that we're doing it the right way or.
I
Yeah.
just thought, just looking at Councillor Yulin, who spent time, still a volunteer with our fire department. I'm wondering, is this something that we can utilize our manager, our fire chief, who's in charge of safety in our town? In a lot of cases that we can use the weight of the chief of our fire department.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an avenue that we
Life
can
safety.
quickly move on.
Yeah, I think it ties in again with aesthetics, no different than the building that's been let go or property that's been let go. At some point in time, an order can be issued to say, okay, well, we need you to bring this up to par.
Yeah.
And then the fire department does life safety, so they monitor everything around town with regards to safety of the general populace. So again, I agree, we should do it legally, properly, but I think there is an avenue to
That's the
say,
angle though, I think is.
that's right, to kind of say, okay, well, it's been there for a year. So we're either going to need to see some kind of progress on it, or it needs to be backfilled for safety purposes.
And I often think too, we have a role as a council when we get a complaint to address a safety issue and aesthetics issue. But we also have our own problems. We have the hang around the end of the ramp. That is a safety issue. It's got environmental considerations on it that are not healthy for the general public. And I've often said, while I'm the mayor, I said, two things got to happen. She's either coming down or got to be done up.
Yeah.
But I think we have a plan to move forward, and we have interest to have that done up. But we have to move on that because we have to lead by example also as a
Yeah.
municipality.
I
But
think
what you gotta understand though, that hangar was held up in court for years.
Yes,
And also the plane, by the plane, that building that was there.
yes.
The lawyer in St. John's that owned that with another gentleman from here. But that's why it was taking so long.
Yeah.
The lawyers had it tied up in the courts.
I think as long as the developers
You know.
approach respectively and
Yeah.
Yeah, but not that,
Appropriately.
Tristan, like now that we can do something about it.
Yeah.
We should do it, right?
oh, 100%, but again,
Yeah.
you need to do it diplomatically.
Oh, yes,
Can't
yes.
Oh, yeah.
put demands on somebody on
Oh,
private
no.
property because they're gonna hit
No,
head on, right?
yeah,
Like Susan said, we just got to do it
yeah.
appropriately and respectively.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, when you think about it, a lot of people like to really keep their lawns groomed and clean and
Exactly.
edge and stuff like that. But then environmentalists are saying, no mow for
Yeah.
May.
Yeah,
So like you could have one neighbor complaining against another neighbor that they didn't mow
Yeah.
their dandelions. And environmentalists are saying you shouldn't be mowing your dandelions.
Yeah.
So there's always that balance.
You gotta,
And also trying to, speak to somebody and find out what's happening.
yeah, exactly, that's right.
This is certainly not start a rumor because I don't even know who owns it or where it is. But let's say, for example, I dug a basement and then I fell on hard times and I couldn't afford
That's
to
right.
move forward with it. So I waited to try to hope that in a year and then nothing changed and I can't even afford to fill it back in.
That's right,
We may find that, so we gotta talk to the person. and see
Exactly.
What's going on. and
because there may be something, that's right, there
Oh,
may be something
yeah.
the town could help with.
yeah.
Well, I hope if something like that happened, they would approach us and let us know that they have an open hole there that.
Oh, I'm sure, and I'm sure that's.
And I think that they should come towards the town and say, we can't fulfill our contract this year by starting the basement. However, they are also, I don't know if they realize the cost will be to them if a child happens to fall into that hole or anyone at night or not noticing or not from the area and somebody just cutting across the
Always a
property.
legal liability.
And so you'll never be able to build the house because you're going to be sued for it, right?
I have two things I want to talk about. Okay. There are a lot of parents, like, actually RN nurses to whoever, asking me about childcare in our town. And I know as a municipality, we can't do any really, but is there something we can do to advocate to government to get more childcare here? Because there are professionals that want to pack up and leave now because they have no one to take care of their kids.
Well, I do know there's a couple of things that's happened. Federally, provincially, they are rolling out a $10 a day childcare.
Mm.
But when they roll out a new policy on the federal side, that's gonna make it very affordable for people to have their children in childcare. That takes time for a policy to go into action to see physical spaces develop. I do know we're working very closely with the Francophone Association, Susan, and there's talks of a new French daycare coming to Stephenville. And we're working on that file. So, but it is outside of our area of responsibility, but that doesn't preclude us as a council to set up a daycare in our facilities for our own staff. You know what I mean? We can be innovative and creative. There's some things, but I really think daycare is gonna, over the next 12 months, is gonna get better because of the federal and the provincial funding allocated to offset the cost for your families with children.
The issue now is finding enough people who have their ECD program, early
Yeah.
childhood education program. And so as they've introduced this $10 a day thing, the uptake is going to be a bit slow because they got to train up more students, right? Or more
People look,
professionals. So it's going to take time. So really what we need to do is encourage more people to do the home small daycare, you know, where you're allowed to have 3 or 4 or
Yeah.
something. I can't remember the number,
Sure.
but that's really going to have to be an option, particularly for shift workers. Because at the end of the day, you know, 10 daycares, if they're open from 8 to 4:30, that's not going to provide a service that's needed for, say, nurses or doctors or people on shift. So I think as we look at growth, we need to look at some way of providing a 24-hour daycare service. Maybe there's space in our hospital. I don't know. They don't use the cafeteria anymore.
Well,
they do, off and
I
on.
just think it's an early, it's a serious.
It's a-
like,
Yes,
there's some
definitely.
professionals soon, like.
well, I think what's also gonna create issues for us in Stevensville, and that's where, whether it's housing and economic development we're working on, or daycare. But just think about what's gonna happen. We're gonna end up with a 600-person working camp for male and female professionals working in the hydrogen and wind industry in Stephenville. So it's not as if it's a work camp at Baffin Island or in Curl Lake in Alberta. It's right in the middle of our town. So what could end up happening, somebody who knows that they got work for 10 years might say, well, I'm only got 10 more years work. I might as well move my family to Stephenville. And most cases, people in those work camps are not senior citizens. They're young people, are having children or have children. And I think that's going to create a higher demand on our daycare also, because people might say, well, might as well move the family to Stephenville because I'm going to be working there for 10 years. But, you know, if they're in Baffinland, they're not moving to Baffinland or they're not moving to Curl Lake. But so we got a very unique project that's happening that's going to put stressors on our housing, on our daycare. And maybe what we need to do is have a little roundtable with our management and staff about coming up with some ideas and what we can or cannot do.
And also some updates, because there's no doubt that's on the radar of the Economic Development Office. I can't imagine it wouldn't be. It's one of the pillars kind of, right? So.
But I gotta say, Susan, I got no capacity left, just taking care of.
No,
my
I was gonna say,
children.
you've done enough.
I can't handle anymore.
You can't take any more in your daycare,
I
can you?
can't do it.
I do want to talk a second thing.
Yeah,
I am out in the community a lot and I do talk to a lot of people and I do talk to a lot of seniors. And it seems like now our town is really nervous about all the crime, the break-ins, and no one's feeling really safe in our town anymore, even including my parents, having to lock your doors all the time. And I just want to bring up, like, if people could just, like, for myself, I always drive around and always I'm very vigilant about like what's going on in our community. And, you know, if people can just really keep an eye out, especially if you're driving late at night and Because it just seems like we're
Yeah.
getting an awful lot of break-ins.
Yeah,
in our
was there
town.
a meeting that took place at the RCMP while I was on holidays? Did
Yes.
that take place?
It was before that, I think, was crime, what was it?
Crime Stoppers.
Citizens, crime, no,
The lady
was it Crime Stoppers?
She was here, yes,
Okay.
in St. John's.
Okay.
I thought it was Neighborhood Watch.
It's
I
like,
think-
what can we do to
Yeah,
combat
I think the
this?
biggest thing that, and we had talked about this before, really, when it comes to crime and that, it's really the role of the RCMP.
Yes.
But how can we do things to mitigate? And I often said, the greatest thing we can do to mitigate is lighting.
Yep.
Dark zones, and we had a policy in this town, and maybe we can look at that for 2024. We can look at it costing. So right now, I think every third or fourth pole got a street light.
Yep.
And it costs the town money, these streetlights. Maybe in 2024, we can look at a budget line item, get some costing done by management to determine what have we doubled our lighting in our town? Because better lighting reduces crime.
Well, not only that, you know, encouraging the neighbors, because I have neighbors that they don't turn on a light. Not a light, and it's black as pitch.
Yeah.
Now,
Not good.
the houses straight up. They're really good. Like, you know, you got three right in the row with their lights on.
Yeah.
And their backyards are really dark, you know, and I got a backyard light, really, you know. But I tell you, when I look at some of the houses around me.
Yeah.
That don't have a light on.
And there's no doubt.
And
Yeah.
Another thing that we need to recognize too is we do have and continue to have an issue in this town with addiction, and we do, unfortunately, many of us can go through the daytimes and not really notice it, but late at night, there are the place is alive with deals, and we do have a lot of drugs in this community
And we have a lot.
and a lot of addiction issues. And one of the things that happened when the methadone program was introduced here first, a number of years ago, there was a dramatic reduction in crime in parole saw it and the RCMP saw it. So that seemed to show a very direct connection between theft for the purchase of drugs, right? And I think what we're seeing now, because it's very localized theft up from your parents up to my house, it's been, right, and including yours all around that area. There's been a couple of times when there's been a rash of break-ins, and I think as we do better in terms of providing support for addiction, we might see a little bit of a reduction there too. But we've got to be vigilant, not just around that, but even as we grow, to recognize that we need to grow our social programs as quickly as we grow our economic programs, because with economic growth comes all kinds of good stuff and all kinds of not so good stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's important.
I'd like to ask the clerk if we could put community lighting on the agenda for our next planning meeting.
Yep.
Because even what Councilor Roy Edwards said, you know, encouraging residents
Mhm.
to have photo cell lights
Yes.
on their homes, so that if somebody's walking by, light comes on.
Light comes on.
You know, even doing a communique out about safeguards. of
Education.
Safety and security measures that we can all take. Maybe we can end up doing
And look-
a message to the citizens on
Yep.
an update and add that in as a safety issue.
And maybe there's some grants that we can keep our eyes open for, and
Yeah,
you know, maybe we can find some grants and suddenly we can provide people with
Yes.
these lights or something like that or whatever, right?
they really are determined,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because when somebody in the cloak of darkness can wear, it's like somebody came and stole my farm gate.
Well, yes, somebody was trying to get in my
They're
car.
cowards, because if they want, if they weren't cowards, they'd come in the daylight and say,
Yeah.
I'm taking your gate.
Yeah,
To come in the night,
yeah,
it's a
Yeah.
coward.
yeah.
but and the reason I point to addiction issues too is that there are a number of people who are breaking in, even though there's cameras right there in front of them. They're just pulling their hoops down and hope for the best, but addiction is a very powerful motivator, unfortunately. And, you know, we gotta try to come to grips with it.
And I think, like for what Councillor Boland said too, is the real challenge for us is we have high seniors in our community.
Yep.
We have, and they're the most vulnerable.
Yep.
And if somebody's got an addiction problem, like Councillor Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow said, they'll go through almost any measures to meet their demands from that addiction. And they'll steal and actually, in this case where they hurt people.
Yeah.
They hurt people physically, you know? So let's put it on the agenda. Let's have a little
Yeah,
brainstorming.
absolutely.
Let's see what we can come up with to do some mitigation. Sound good?
Yeah,
Okay. So any other unfinished business or new business? No. Okay, I would ask somebody, or I can't just ask somebody, I gotta ask a member of council to adjourn the meeting.
oh, and Mike can do
So
that.
moved. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow, seconder.
Second.
Second, council. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Meeting is adjourned. It is 7:50. And Susan, I think you're gonna make your recite.
I'm gonna make
or your
it. I'm gonna make
Uh,
it, yep.